Morning. Welcome to Monday's Thought for the Day. I hope that you've had a really good weekend. Past few weeks, I've been thinking about a young friend of mine. I've known him since he was born, and this young friend of mine has suffered many disappointments in his life, mainly due to long-standing health problems. He had his plans, he knew what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go. He started his first year at university, but after that first year he was diagnosed with a serious illness and couldn't continue with his degree. There's one big disappointment for him. And then he went through many tests and courses of treatment. The culmination of all this was that he needed a transplant, and he was put on the waiting list. After a very long wait, he was finally called for his transplant operation. They'd found a donor who matched. And he had a grueling operation, I don't know, many hours. And afterwards it was declared a success. And after rehab and return home, he felt that his life had been given back to him, and we all rejoiced. It was wonderful. And he bore all this with a bravery and fortitude that I so admired. His strength of character shone through. And he knew that other people were struggling with his struggle, and but he always showed that care and sensitivity to those people. I remember going to see him in hospital after his transplant, and I cried sitting by his bedside, because it wasn't sadness, it was because his attitude had touched me so much, and the miracle of this transplant, and all the care that he was receiving from really dedicated people. And this year he was successful in getting another university place to do something a little different, and was looking forward to effectively beginning again. But a few weeks ago his health began to deteriorate, and he's now been in hospital for several weeks without visitors because of COVID, and he's understandably feeling very low. His life has been put on hold again, and he's been unable to take up that university place, and is again having to make lots of adjustments. And he's suffered so many massive disappointments in his recent life, and I'm not sure how I would have coped in the way that he has done. But it got me thinking about how we deal with the disappointments that are inevitably part of life. Perhaps some of our disappointments aren't as profound as my young friends, but disappointments great and small. As Christians, we often battle feelings of disappointment, and if we're honest, sometimes there may be a deep and buried feeling that surfaces at those times, that following Christ should give us special immunity against trouble. And I know that's not a sort of rational response, but it's something that may arise in us, even if we don't want to think that. When we look around, as we're oft to do, we see people thriving, and we wonder why they're doing so well and we're not. And the question we often ask is, why, Lord? Why? But maybe the question we need to be asking is, what now, Lord? What now? But that's a hard lesson to learn. and one that I've grappled with. I'm sure that my friend and his family and friends have grappled with that too. It's hard to ask the right question when you're feeling profound disappointment, when your heart is breaking, and when dreams have been shattered. It's hard to ask what now, instead of why, Lord, or why me, Lord. And we can't let go if we don't pour our heart out to someone. If we keep it in, it will become too much to bear. If disappointment builds up, they lead to discouragement, and too much discouragement leads to despair. God doesn't want that for us. In His grace, God invites us to take our heartaches, our disappointments to Him. God listens, even when we might feel angry with Him. The Psalms are full of such complaints, aren't they? He would rather empty our heart to Him than keep bitterness and discontent inside. And if we struggle having that direct conversation with God, He may come in the form of another person to help us do it, to help us talk it through. God has the power to change us, our situation, or both. I know I'm a work in progress. I can see changes in me. They didn't happen overnight. And I know there's still a way to go, but I know the only way change has happened is about me being honest about my feelings with God. And when we pour out our heart and find the courage to ask, what do you want me to do now, Lord? We can expect Him to answer. He will communicate through another person, our circumstance, or even sometimes directly, or through the Bible. Seeking God's answer to what now can help us grow in faith. Through our own experience, we can learn that God is trustworthy. He can take our disappointments and work them for our good, no matter how difficult and wretched our disappointments may be. And the answer to the question of what now begins with the simple statement, trust me. Trust me. Amen. I'll speak to you on Thursday. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. Keep safe. God bless. Bye-bye.